What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and thank you for clicking on this video. Today we are reviewing A Quiet Place Part 2. Now if you haven't seen A Quiet Place Part 1, then I suggest you go watch it because this film picks up right after the first one. It's one of those movies where it doesn't fast forward to another time period. It is actually connected. This film is made, both of these films are made to be watched back to back. This movie is only in theaters, not yet for streaming services. So if you're gonna go to the theaters, and if you're one of those persons that like to take snacks or likes to buy snacks, then if you're gonna buy something crunchy, then you're gonna be waiting a while before you even take a bite because of course everything is so quiet. And if you're one of those people that likes to take your damn kids to the movie theaters when you know you're not supposed to, especially if you got babies or just annoying loud toddlers, don't go to the movie theaters. Leave them at home. Tell your grandma, tell your dad or something to take care of them. Especially if your kids look like this. I can't tell you how much those kids are annoying. I want to slap the crap out of them. Alright, so that being said, let's get right into it. Now, this movie reminded me a lot of The Last of Us. Now, if you're not a gamer, if you haven't played the game, don't even worry too much about it. I'm just making some references to the game, but you don't need to know about the game to understand my review. But if you play the game, then you know that this plot from the movie has elements from both the first and the sequel. Now in the beginning of the movie, we do get a bit of a prequel vibe. We get sequences of what happened day one, the day that this all started. And what I really liked about it is that the camera movements, it was very similar to the game, and it's not something that bothered me. It's actually something that I really like, because you don't really get to see that a lot in movies. The camera movements, all the flexibility you do have when making a game. The camera movements that puts you as if you were in the back of that car while everything was going on. I really enjoy that because you get to see not only what's going on in the outside world, but it puts you right in that car with the characters. Now, a lot of movies rely on visuals, rely a lot on cinematography, on how cool you can make it look. But both these films, the first one and the sequel, they do the opposite. They use sound, or they use the absence of sound to reel us in, to put us into these environments, into all these moments that make us feel like we're actually in there in this movie. And that's something that not even 4K or 8K Ultra HD can do. The cast is great. Everyone in this cast is great. I believe the ones that stood out the most is Cillian Murphy and Millicent Simmonds. Millicent Simmonds got a lot of screen time as opposed to the first film, which makes sense because she is deaf, not only in this movie, but she's deaf in real life. So putting us in her perspective is what makes this movie much more enjoyable. Since she's deaf in real life, her performance literally speaks for itself. I mean, her performance says it all. She doesn't need to say anything in order to make people believe that she's really good. Her performance was a big you know what to all those A-list actors. So you know what, keep doing your thing and thank you. And speaking of the characters, the movie keeps it focused on the characters. It tries to keep everything fresh. It tries to bring us that suspense in different ways. And whatever is happening during the movie, it doesn't lose focus of the characters. It keeps it revolving around the characters, and it doesn't rely too much on the monsters because we already know what these things look like. We already know what they do. So there's not a mysterious element anymore. And this movie could have easily just focused on all these monsters killing a bunch of people. It could have focused on the blood. It could have focused on the gore, but it didn't do that. But on the downside, and yes, there is a downside for me. It's not a big one, it's just a personal thing. Being that it focuses on the characters, had a flip side because it seems to be two different sets of characters, and the movie cuts back and forth between them. But really, the plot doesn't revolve on both of them. It relies mostly on one set of characters. So it feels like there's a lot going on, and the whole cutting back and forth between seems to kind of bring it down for me a little bit. And again, this is another reference to the video game, but this time it's The Last of Us Part 2. In the game, there's two different character plots, and you play as one character first, and halfway in between you switch to the other one until you get to that climax again. And the movie has the same element going on where it has two different parties going on at the same time, but it's cutting back and forth. And that takes away from what the first film did really well, where it focused on one group, not only because it was a family, so we had that family dynamic, but it was one group, so we get to see every character. And that was brilliant because you killed two birds with one stone. You focus on one group of characters and you have that family dynamic, which brings all the emotional connection. I just felt like it was going all over the place a little bit too much, but other than that, overall it was a great film. And if the Last of Us movie is actually happening, then I think things just got a lot more challenging for them, because A Quiet Place 2 is worth watching and worth adding to your movie collection. All right, so A Quiet Place 2, if you've seen it, what did you think about it? Go ahead and let me know your opinions and thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and let me know your expectations. Which one do you like better? Do you like the first one? Do you like the second one? Do you think it's too hard to decide? Go ahead and let me know. And if you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe, turn your post notifications on, and that wraps it up for today. We'll see you next time.